God is removing the person who tried to destroy you. This is final. Before the sound even settles, the weight of this message presses in. Something irreversible has already been set in motion. What you are feeling lately, the strange mix of relief and tension, the quiet certainty that a chapter is closing, is not imagination. This is the moment when heaven's judgment begins to rearrange your life in ways no human interference can stop. The presence of Archangel Michael is not arriving to comfort you softly, it is arriving to conclude something that overstayed its permission. You were not wrong about what was happening behind your back. You were not too sensitive. You were not paranoid. There truly was someone who made it their assignment to weaken you, delay you, or quietly dismantle what God planted inside you. And for a long time, it seemed like they were succeeding. Doors stalled. Your clarity was attacked. Your peace was disturbed in subtle ways that others could not see. Yet heaven was watching every hidden intention, every whispered plan, every silent wish against your eyes. This is the moment when divine tolerance ends. Archangel Michael's authority is not gentle when justice is due. His role is not negotiation, it is removal. And the word being released over your life now is final. The one who tried to undo you has reached the boundary they were never meant to cross. God allowed the test, but He did not allow the destruction. What is happening now is not revenge, it is restoration through separation. Pay attention to how suddenly things are shifting. Conversations are ending without closure. Connections feel hollow. Someone who once had access to you is losing influence rapidly, even if they don't yet realize it. This is not coincidence. This is divine extraction. God is removing them in a way that does not require your explanation, your defense, or your involvement. Heaven is handling what you were never meant to fight. There is a reason you were told to stay silent. There is a reason your spirit was instructed to pull back instead of confront. The battle was never yours. Archangel Michael stands where you were tempted to stand, sword drawn not in violence, but in authority. When he moves, resistance collapses on its own weight. The person who tried to harm you will not be exposed by you, they will be undone by the consequences of their own intentions. And here is the part that may surprise you. Their removal is directly tied to your next elevation. They could not remain where God is taking you. Their access would have contaminated what is about to be entrusted to you. This is why the separation feels intense. This is why it feels sudden. This is why it feels permanent. Heaven does not recycle threats, it eliminates them from the equation entirely. You may notice them becoming restless, defensive, or distant. You may sense confusion around them, a loss of footing. That is what happens when divine covering is withdrawn. What once seemed protected is now exposed. What once felt confident is now scrambling. This is not your doing. This is the aftermath of a judgment they never thought would arrive. If this message resonates, let it settle. There is no need to announce it. No need to prove it. Simply stay aligned. Stay humble. Stay watchful. And if this word is strengthening you, quietly support the channel. Your presence helps carry messages like this to those who are also standing at the edge of deliverance. Because this is only the beginning. What happens next will make it unmistakably clear why this person had to be removed, and what God is about to release into your life once they are fully gone. Do not rush past what is happening now. There is a pause in the spirit, a suspended moment where heaven is allowing you to see without acting. This is intentional. When God removes someone from your life, He does not always do it loudly. Sometimes He drains their power first. Sometimes He lets their influence wither before the connection breaks. You are in that in-between space where discernment sharpens and illusions collapse. Notice how your emotions toward them are changing. What once stirred fear, confusion, or obligation now feels distant, almost irrelevant. That emotional detachment is not coldness, it is protection activating. Archangel Michael does not only fight external battles, he guards your inner gates. Right now, your heart is being sealed against manipulation. Their words no longer land the same. Their presence no longer carries weight. That is not you becoming indifferent, that is authority returning to you. There was a time when you questioned yourself because of them. You replayed conversations. You doubted your intuition. You wondered if you were overreacting. That inner instability was not weakness, it was spiritual interference. Some people don't attack openly, they distort your self-trust. And that is why their removal must be thorough. God is not just separating bodies, He is untangling psychological and spiritual residue. This is why you may feel tired lately, even without obvious reason. Separation takes energy. Detachment takes strength. You are shedding something that clung longer than it should have. But do not mistake this fatigue for defeat. What you are feeling is the exit cost of something that was never meant to accompany you into your next season. Understand this clearly: the person being removed is not losing you, you are being recovered. Archangel Michael stands as a boundary now. Where they once had access, there is resistance. Where they once influenced outcomes, there is silence. Heaven has revoked permissions that were only temporary. And once revoked, they cannot be reinstated. This is why the title of this message is not dramatic. This is final. You may soon witness something unexpected. They may attempt reconciliation. They may suddenly speak kindly. They may act as though nothing happened. This is not change, it is panic. When access is threatened, false peace often appears. Do not confuse familiarity with alignment. If God is removing someone, He will not ask you to drag them back into position. Remain still. Silence is not passivity right now, it is agreement with heaven. There is also something else happening beneath the surface. As this person is removed, space is being cleared. Not metaphorically, spiritually. Space for clarity. Space for momentum. Space for a level of peace you have not felt in a long time. God does not subtract without intention to multiply. But the multiplication cannot arrive while contamination remains. This is why you are being asked to guard your mouth. Speak less. Observe more. Let the process complete without interference. Divine removals fail only when humans try to manage them emotionally. Trust that Archangel Michael sees angles you cannot see. He understands outcomes you cannot predict. His intervention is precise, not reckless. You might feel tempted to confront them, to explain yourself, to finally say what you held back. Resist that urge. Closure is not always spoken, sometimes it is demonstrated. And what will happen next will speak louder than any conversation ever could. Soon, evidence will appear, not dramatic at first, but undeniable. A door opens that they never wanted you to walk through. A burden lifts without effort. An opportunity aligns effortlessly where resistance once existed. These are confirmations, not coincidences. They are signs that the blockage has been removed. And yes, they will notice. They will sense the shift. They will realize too late that their influence ended the moment they crossed the line God warned them not to cross. But by then, you will be too far ahead to look back. If this message is strengthening you, stay connected. Support the work quietly if you feel led. Messages like this reach people at the exact moment they need confirmation that what feels like loss is actually protection. Because the next phase is not just about who is leaving your life, it is about who you are becoming now that they are gone. And what Archangel Michael is about to reveal next will explain why this removal had to happen exactly now, and why delaying it any longer would have cost you far more than you realize. Something deeper is unfolding now, and it explains why this separation feels heavier than any before. This was not just a person in your life, this was a gatekeeper. They stood at an access point they were never meant to occupy for long. For a season, God allowed it to test your discernment, to strengthen your boundaries, to refine your dependence on heaven rather than human approval. But the season expired, and they refused to move. That refusal triggered judgment. There are people who sense when their time is up, and instead of repenting or releasing control, they intensify interference. They become subtle, strategic, quieter. They smile while sabotaging. They support while secretly resenting. And because you carry something marked by God, this kind of opposition is attracted to you more than once in a lifetime. But this time is different. This time, heaven intervened early enough to prevent permanent damage. You were closer to a breaking point than you realized. That exhaustion you felt was not from workload, it was from leakage. Every interaction drained you. Every delay confused you. Every compromise chipped away at your confidence. Yet you kept moving forward anyway, even when clarity felt clouded. That persistence is why Archangel Michael was dispatched. Not because you were weak, but because you were strong enough to be protected. Understand this, divine removal is not always about punishment. Sometimes it is about preservation. God saw where this path was heading if the interference continued. He saw the cost to your calling, your peace, your longevity. And he decided the price was too high. So now, the cutting begins. This is why the separation feels surgical. No chaos. No explosion. Just clean detachment. Clean endings. Clean silence. When Michael moves, he does not argue, he enforces. And enforcement often looks like quiet authority, not noise. You may notice memories resurfacing. Things they said months ago suddenly making sense. Red flags you brushed aside now appearing obvious. This is not regret, it is revelation. God is restoring your discernment by showing you how clearly you see now compared to before. Let that clarity anchor you. Do not shame yourself for what you tolerated. You were learning. And now, you are graduating. There is also a warning here, delivered gently but firmly: do not romanticize the past. Do not soften what God exposed. The enemy often tries to repackage harm as nostalgia. Resist that lie. What is being removed for a reason that will soon be undeniable. Very soon, you will see how far-reaching their influence actually was. You will realize how many decisions were delayed, how many opportunities stalled, how many emotions were manipulated. And instead of anger, you will feel gratitude, because God intervened before those delays became permanent losses. This is also the moment where your authority shifts. You will feel it internally first. A calm confidence. Less need to explain. Less tolerance for confusion. Less attraction to people who drain instead of build. That shift is evidence that Archangel Michael is not just clearing your environment, he is repositioning you. Pay attention to who suddenly fades out alongside them. Divine removals often happen in clusters. Anything connected to that assignment cannot follow you forward. Do not chase what disappears. Do not question what dissolves. Absence is information. And here is the part most people don't expect. Once the removal is complete, you will stop thinking about them entirely. Not because you hardened your heart, but because their role in your story ends so cleanly that it leaves no residue. That is how you know heaven handled it. If you feel a quiet peace growing, honor it. If you feel a renewed sense of purpose, lean into it. And if this message continues to confirm what you already sense deep inside, stay connected. Your support helps carry these words to others standing at the same threshold of release. Because what comes next is not just relief, it is acceleration. The next movement will reveal what was waiting on the other side of this removal, and why the moment they lose access is the exact moment your life begins to move forward at a speed you have never experienced before. Now the acceleration begins to make sense. What felt like loss was actually weight being lifted, friction being removed from a system that was meant to move faster than it ever could before. You are not stepping into something new by force. You are stepping into what was paused while the wrong influence lingered. Heaven did not delay you to punish you, it delayed you to protect the outcome. This is why things are suddenly aligning without struggle. Tasks that once drained you now feel lighter. Decisions that once confused you now feel obvious. You are not suddenly more capable. You are finally unobstructed. Archangel Michael's work is not just defensive, it is corrective. He does not only remove threats, he restores flow. There is a noticeable shift in how people respond to you. Respect appears where resistance used to be. Invitations come without you asking. Opportunities surface with unusual timing. This is not luck. This is the return of favor that was quietly blocked. When the wrong person had access, your progress had to move through filters. Now, it moves directly. But here is something crucial you must understand. This acceleration will test you differently. When things were slow, patience was the lesson. Now that things are moving, discernment becomes the lesson. Not everything that opens is meant to be entered. Not everyone who approaches is meant to stay. The removal that just happened raised your level of visibility, and visibility attracts both alignment and imitation. This is why your inner voice feels stronger now. That clarity is not accidental. It is part of the protection. Archangel Michael does not remove one threat only to leave you exposed to another. He sharpens your awareness so you no longer ignore what once confused you. You may also feel a strange mixture of confidence and humility at the same time. Confidence because you finally trust yourself again. Humility because you recognize how deeply heaven intervened on your behalf. That balance is healthy. It keeps you grounded while you rise. Do not be surprised if the person who was removed attempts to resurface indirectly, through others, through messages, through sudden reminders. This is not because they still have access, it is because they feel the void. When someone loses influence they depended on, they instinctively reach for it again. But notice this, every attempt will fail. Doors will close before conversations begin. Plans will dissolve before they form. This is how you know the removal is sealed. You are no longer required to manage other people's emotions. You are no longer responsible for their understanding. One of the greatest freedoms you are stepping into is this: you do not have to be misunderstood correctly anymore. Heaven has validated your path. There is also a deep internal healing taking place now. Your nervous system is calming. Your mind is quieter. Your sleep may even improve. These are not small details. They are signs that your body recognizes safety returning. Long-term exposure to manipulation or opposition creates stress that people often normalize. You are unnormalizing it now. This is why your standards are rising naturally. You are less tolerant of inconsistency, less impressed by surface-level charm, more drawn to depth, honesty, and peace. That is not arrogance, it is alignment. If at any point you feel tempted to explain the past to new people, resist that urge. You do not need to carry old wounds into new rooms. Let your presence speak. Let your stability testify. The chapter that closed does not require a summary. There is something else being restored that you may not have named yet: joy. Not loud excitement, but quiet joy. The kind that does not depend on validation. The kind that does not flinch when others misunderstand you. That joy is a sign that you are standing in your rightful position again. And as this unfolds, your influence expands, not because you are trying to lead, but because people recognize safety in your clarity. They sense that you are no longer easily swayed. That groundedness draws the right connections without effort. If you feel strengthened by this message, remain connected. Support it in whatever quiet way feels right. These words are reaching people who are still questioning whether separation was truly divine or just painful. Your presence helps confirm that removal can be mercy. Because the final movement is approaching. What comes next will not just explain why the person who tried to harm you had to be removed. It will reveal what they were unknowingly standing in the way of, and why once heaven cleared that space, the release that follows will be so precise, so undeniable, that you will never again question whether God intervened on your behalf. This is the moment everything becomes unmistakable. What was invisible now becomes obvious. What felt like intuition now reveals itself as truth confirmed by outcomes. You will look back on this season and realize that the removal was not a reaction. It was a precondition. Certain blessings cannot coexist with certain people. Certain assignments cannot activate while interference remains. Heaven waited until the precise second when extraction would unlock everything at once. Now you begin to see what they were standing in front of. There was a door marked for you long before this conflict ever started. A level of influence, stability, provision, and clarity that required clean access. The person who tried to destroy you did not know the full scope of what they were obstructing. They only sensed that something significant was tied to you, and instead of honoring it, they tried to control it. That choice sealed their removal. What arrives next will feel different from past opportunities. It will not come with chaos or anxiety. It will not require you to prove yourself. It will arrive quietly, confidently, almost casually, as if it had been waiting patiently for the environment to be purified. That is how divine timing feels when nothing is blocking it. You may notice a sudden increase in momentum. Not frantic movement, but steady progress. Things get done faster. Decisions land cleanly. Help shows up without you asking. This is not because people suddenly changed. It is because resistance is gone. Archangel Michael does not announce his victories, he lets the results speak. There is also a deeper internal shift completing now. You are no longer scanning for threats. You are no longer bracing for disappointment. Your energy is forward-facing again. That posture alone changes everything. When you stop guarding against sabotage, you free up enormous creative and spiritual capacity. And here is something profound. You will not need revenge, justice speeches, or apologies. The outcome itself becomes the answer. The life you step into becomes the explanation. The peace you maintain becomes the verdict. Nothing confuses an adversary more than watching you thrive without acknowledging them. The person who tried to harm you will eventually understand, not through confrontation, but through distance. They will see doors open for you that never opened for them. They will feel the contrast. And that realization will be heavier than any argument ever could be. But you will not be watching. Your focus shifts now to stewardship. With greater access comes greater responsibility, not to others, but to your alignment. Guard what is being rebuilt. Protect your peace as fiercely as you once protected relationships that did not deserve it. You are wiser now. You see patterns faster. You trust your inner warnings sooner. That growth ensures this season does not repeat itself. You will also become a sign for others. Not by preaching, but by example. People who are still tolerating harmful connections will notice your calm, your boundaries, your clarity, and they will quietly ask themselves what changed. You will not need to explain. Your life will answer for you. If there is one final instruction to hold close, it is this: do not rush to fill every space that opened. Let some areas remain quiet for a while. Silence is not emptiness, it is preparation. Heaven often fills slowly what it protected fiercely. And when doubt tries to creep in, as it sometimes does, remember how precisely everything unfolded. Remember how the removal happened without your force. Remember how peace followed instead of chaos. Those are not accidents. Those are signatures of divine intervention. If this message has walked with you through confirmation, stay connected in whatever way feels right. Your presence strengthens the channel and helps carry these words to others who are standing at the edge of a separation they don't yet understand. Because the truth is this: what God removed was never your future, it was the final obstacle to it. And from this point forward, every step you take will quietly confirm what heaven decided long before you ever knew there was a battle at all.